They've already done that. I know people complain about the price, but can you imagine what it would be like if the cost of visiting Disney World was like $39.95 a day? Can you imagine the chaos that would ensue if that was the price? It is Sunday, November 20th, 2022, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're talking about the horribly annoying things that Disney is doing right. It's almost Thanksgiving in the USA. It's almost Christmas for everybody else who celebrates Christmas. I hope your plans are going well and you're not too stressed about all that. If you're new here, I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. I travel all around the world to popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it was like to be there. And I'm actually also a former Disney cast member. Yes, I worked in the character and entertainment department back in 1995. Times were definitely different back then, and that is one of the things we're going to talk about today in this video. Not only am I a former Disney cast member, but I am also a former fan of long-term stays at Disney. I think Marcus and I, in the 16 years we've been together, I think we've been to Disney 13 times. And most of these times were extended stays of 5 or more days at one of the Disney resorts, staying on property, staying in this magical bubble, and basically not leaving until it was time to go to the airport. And we haven't done that for a while. And we're gonna be in Orlando in January, and we might not even go to a Disney park at all. And that is a huge change over what it used to be like for us. Planning a trip to Disney used to be one of the funnest things I would do all year, and now it's like exactly the opposite. And I know that a lot of you agree with me because we've talked about this in the comments of other videos and on Facebook. There are two main factors about this that I want to sort of pick at today. Oh, don't say pick at, that's gross. And there are two sort of main factors in the changes to a Disney experience compared to, let's say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that I sort of want to dive into today and look at Disney's solution to those. One of them is that the parks are just too crowded, and the other one is that the lines are too long. And that's sort of the same thing, but they have different solutions. So for me, the biggest problem altogether is that there are just too many people in the parks. To be honest, I would be fine with the change of prices and all the perks that have disappeared. And I'm talking about things like no Magical Express anymore, no free parking, no extra magic hours, no free fast pass, park hopping being limited, and then just the price of the ticket going up and up and up and up. I would almost be fine with all of that if it was still as much fun to go to the parks as it was 10 years ago. Spoiler alert,
it's not.
Rides that used to be always a walk-on or maybe a 10-minute wait, like the People Mover, for example, now are always 30 minutes or more. Really popular rides like Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, things like that, Tower of Terror, those lines average probably around 90 minutes or more now. And that's always, every day. There is no low season anymore. This is like the way it is. So not only are we paying more to get into the park, but we're also not able to have as much fun as we used to have because there are just so many people there. So what do you do with a destination like this? What do you do when you have an attraction like this where the demand is so high? And what do you do when you have a specific attraction like, let's say, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, where the demand is so high? That's what we're gonna get into now. When you have a product, and in this case it's a theme park or a group of theme parks where the demand for it is so high, from a business point of view, it makes perfect sense to raise the price until you reach sort of that limit where people aren't willing to spend it anymore. And Disney has proven over and over and over again that they are not at that limit yet. And as much as it makes us boil to see them raise the prices, it's not like people aren't going anymore. Like I've said, and I will be saying over and over again, the parks are more crowded than they have ever been. I feel like we can't be mad at Disney for that because that is just good business practice. Of course, there are so many arguments against raising the prices, but I just feel like it makes total sense from a business point of view, and I can't be mad at them for doing that. What they do with the money they're making, that's something you can be mad about. So let's circle back to the problem: the parks are really crowded. Disney is also doing something about this, and it's something they should be doing, but it's also something that most of us Disney fans find really, really annoying. And that is this park reservation system.
You told me you can be yourself. Please stop trying to impress me. That was the sweetest thing I'd ever heard. As the night
Not too long ago, you could just spontaneously hop on a plane, get in a taxi from the airport, take a taxi to the Magic Kingdom, buy a ticket, and chassé right on into Cinderella's castle. Well, those days are over. You cannot do that anymore. For the parks in Florida, Disney now has a reservation system in place, so it's not good enough to buy a ticket. Coupled with your ticket, you also have to reserve a park on a specific day in advance. So Disney is using this reservation system to get an idea and also to control how many people are in what park on any given day. And if you look at the calendar, you'll see there are days where there are parks where they are not selling any more tickets for. These parks are at some kind of capacity, meaning Disney has decided, okay, this park on this day, we cannot sell any more tickets for that because either it's just already too full, or we know that we don't have the staffing capability to offer the kind of service that we would like to offer on that day. And this, as much as I hate it, this is exactly what Disney should be doing. It also gives us a heads up as visitors. I mean, don't you kind of want to know in advance if you're picking a super crowded day to go or not? It's a good thing, but most of us don't like it, and there are reasons for that. For me, I just feel like it takes so much fun out of planning especially a multi-day Disney park visit compared to how it used to be. It takes all the spontaneity, all the sort of fun of waking up in the morning and deciding what park you're gonna do that day, or discussing it before you go to bed that night. It takes all that spontaneity away, and you have to decide months in advance exactly what park you want to do on what day. You have to create a schedule, and then you're basically forced to stick to that schedule. And for most people, including me, having a daily set schedule is not something that equals fun on vacation. How do you feel about that? Let me know in the comments below. And I have to be honest though, when it comes to the crowded parks, I don't know what else to suggest because Disney has been trying a lot. Let's get into that. They have already jacked up the price for a one-day ticket so high that it's financially impossible for so many people to visit Disney. They've already done that. I know people complain about the price, but can you imagine what it would be like if the cost of visiting Disney World was like $39.95 a day? Can you imagine the chaos that would ensue if that was the price? You would have to book your park reservation years in advance because there would just be so many people going. Nobody wants that, right? Raising the ticket prices has done nothing to keep the guests away. In fact, it almost seems like the more unappealing, the more complicated Disney makes it to visit one of their parks, the higher the demand becomes. I don't get it. I don't understand that. If somebody can explain that to me, please hit those comments down there as well. Now I want to talk about the whole factor of waiting in lines, which is a big bummer at the parks as well. And we're going to do that right after this commercial break. Did you get one? What was it about? Write it in the comments below, okay? Disney is literally the creators of the Fast Pass system. They are the very first company that offered a virtual queue system for their guests. They created it,
and then they ruined it.
Now, even the Fast Pass, Genie Plus or Lightning Lane, now even the lines for the Fast Pass lines have lines. And there's another thing that they've been doing that a lot of people love to hate, and that is this virtual queue boarding group system. When a new ride opens at other theme parks like Six Flags or Cedar Point or Kings Island or wherever, on the first day and for most of the first season, that ride is going to be so popular that people will be waiting 3 or 4 hours in the queue to ride the ride. The park might only be open 8 hours a day, and then there are literally people spending 4 hours of it waiting in line for a new ride that they might not even get to ride if it goes down or if there's some other problem. That's not the best way to get the most for your money, especially those people who waited in the line and then don't get to ride. At Disney, for the super popular new rides, like at the moment it's Guardian of the Galaxy, and up until not too long ago it was Rise of the Resistance and also the Avatar Flight of Passage ride. Using their app, you could join a boarding group, which was like a virtual queue for the entire day. And once you have one of these, you are basically in line for the ride, but you can go off and do whatever else you want to do in the park. You can go ride the other rides, you can go see a show, you can go shopping, have lunch, whatever. You don't have to actually be there until your time comes up in the app. There's no actually standing there for 3 or 4 hours with no water and no bathroom breaks. It's actually a really brilliant solution. But here's what sucks about it. There are so many steps you have to take even before you get there to make sure that you have a successful chance of getting a boarding group. If you and the people you're visiting with didn't buy your tickets all together in the same transaction, then you're gonna have to go through this whole process using the app of linking your reservations together and then deciding who in your party is gonna be the person to make the reservation. They have to make sure they have an internet connection and the most current version of the app. On one of my recent visits to Disney, we were 10 people from different families, and just getting us all linked together so we could make a reservation for one ride took several phone calls and several visits to guest relations at the actual park, and that's not fun. Then, if you're there on a really crowded day, and I think we've already established
the chances of that are going to be pretty high.
There's only a very short window of time you have to grab one of these boarding groups. You have to refresh the app at exactly the right time and then just keep clicking and clicking and clicking and hoping and praying to Jiminy Cricket that he's gonna grant you a time to ride this ride. And sometimes, after literally just a few minutes, all the times are gone. And if you didn't get one, you're probably not gonna ride the ride that day. And like I said, the advantage of this is if you have one, then you know, okay, as long as the ride keeps running all day, I can go off and do whatever I want, and I will be able to go back at this time and ride the ride. But I feel like there was something just a little bit more gratifying about getting to the park and knowing, all right, if I stand here behind this person in front of this building and it continues moving in this direction, no matter how long I stand here, this is my guarantee that I'm going to get on the ride. With the boarding group system, I just feel like the risk involved, it's so stressful. Let me give you a perfect example. We would really love to ride the new Guardians of the Galaxy coaster at EPCOT, but that would be our main reason to go to EPCOT. We would, if we're not gonna get on that coaster, we probably will do something else with our day. And I know rides can always break down. That's a factor, you know, that can always be a factor. But I would rather know that I can just go there and get in the line and wait and hopefully get on the ride than, you know, make the whole reservation in advance, buy the ticket, go there, stress out in the morning, refreshing the app, and then not get a boarding time and then already be there when, like I said, I would have rather probably done something else. For me, I just feel like it's a little bit safer to just go and stand in that line. Do you know what I mean? I guess in a way, I'm more of a fan of the traditional queue, but if the boarding pass system works and you get a boarding pass, then that's really great. So it is an effort to make the guest experience better, especially for those attractions where Disney knows, all right, super high demand at the moment, we have to do something even larger than charging for Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. We have to come up with something totally different. They did, and when it works, it's very convenient. As always, I'm interested in hearing what you think about these things in the comments below. I'm sure I've gotten some things wrong, and there are so many other aspects about Disney that we could discuss. Things they're doing great, things they're not doing great. If you didn't hear this, they just recently, like just 2 days ago, bought the largest cruise ship in the world that was being built, and the company that was building it went bankrupt, and it was just sitting there, and they were like,
gigantic cruise ship. We'll take it.
So pretty soon, Disney will be also running the largest cruise ship in the world. And if you are from the Florida area, we will be there the end of January, and the last weekend in January, I will be inviting people to a live Sofatime comedy show meetup, and I need to know in advance how many people are interested in coming. So please let me know in the comments below if you for sure would be interested in coming to see that. And until then, now will come the time on Sunday Sofatime where I comment on your comments live on air. In last week's Sunday Sofatime, we talked about why right now, before the end of the year, is a fantastic time to go on a cruise vacation instead of a land vacation, and these comments are on that video. The first comment is from The Ginger Life. They write, "My husband and I just cruised NCL in October, and it was such a good deal. We typically go to Disney a couple times a year, but that has gotten so expensive. You don't say. We are going on Anthem of the Seas on December 11th to the 18th for $1,500, so we did 2 cruises for less than 1 trip to Disney. Looking to book more cruises in 2023. Yeah, we'll have to see if the prices stay the same, if maybe the hotel prices go down a little bit, and if the cruise prices go up a little bit, but at least for cruising right now before the end of the year, there are some amazing deals out there, and basically no matter what, it's gonna cost you less than spending a week in a hotel on land somewhere." Next comment is from Kitty Cat Cat. They write, "We are planning a cruise in 2024, and I thought a Hawaiian vacation would be a nice way to celebrate a milestone for us. You are correct, Morgan, in comparing hotels and the cost of food once we get there versus the cost of an inter-island cruise, the cost per night of the stateroom and included meals, not to mention the cost of getting to the other islands, we are dollars ahead. So we went ahead and booked the cruise about a month ago, and the cruise line has already dropped the cost by $700. Nice. A quick phone call got that changed to the cheaper rate, and I'll be checking weekly to see if the price changes again." Yeah. Congratulations to you for getting that great deal, and it's just another example of why when you just look at the price of the cruise, you might think that it's a lot, but when you look at what you get for it and compare what you're gonna spend on land, including then the cost of food and alcohol and shows and all the other stuff you're gonna do, the cruise is almost always the better deal. Final comment is a really interesting situation from Darren Monette. Darren writes, "Our hotel row in NYC abruptly canceled our stay, which has been booked for months, December 28th to January 2nd, before a cruise, and I looked at rebooking. Holy crap! It was expensive. However, Expedia, with whom I booked with, rebooked us in another hotel. Close, nicer, and more expensive, but they picked up the extra cost. Was very pleased. You are correct in that cruising has always been less expensive when you cost it out." Well, I think that's a crazy story that the hotel just canceled your reservation. How can they do that? Like, what are the circumstances where a hotel would do that? Did they get bought out by some other company, or why would they do that? If you work at a hotel, let me know. And how awesome that Expedia was like, "Oh no, this is not happening with us," and they booked you in a better hotel and that they're covering the cost. That's great customer service. Don't get a lot of that nowadays, do you? Especially not when it has to do with traveling in hotels. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial Travel Guides Florida people. Don't forget to let me know if you're available the final week of January for a fun meetup and live Sofatime extravaganza. Also, if you're interested in ways to help support what I do here on YouTube, just subscribing and pressing the thumbs up is a great way, but you can also check out my book. It's available on Amazon, Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship, with fun, funny, and crazy stories about things that have really happened to me while I was traveling. And I will be here again in front of the red sofa for another travel related topic next week. See you later.